In a grim future, the world is ruled by the shadowy Mentel Corporation. A devastating global famine forces the government to allow couples only a single opportunity to have a child, whether that baby survives or not. A second pregnancy is illegal. Offenders are jailed by Mentel for 9 months, after which the newborn becomes corporate property and the mother is executed. John Brennick and his wife Karen, devastated after losing their first child, attempt to escape to Canada for another chance. To pass through the checkpoint unnoticed, Karen wears a flak jacket to conceal her pregnancy, but a guard spots something suspicious around Karen's neck and confronts them. John, a former Black Beret captain, and Karen fight off the guards and sprint for the border. John sacrifices himself, staying behind to be mauled by guard dogs, while Karen makes it safely across. Captured and sentenced to 30 years, John is transported to a hidden desert prison. When a fellow inmate asks why he's smiling, John says it's because Karen got away. They arrive at the fortress, an invisible 33-story deep pit disguised by the desert. At the entrance, Mentel forces prisoners to strip and descend into the underground hell. Warden Poe welcomes the new arrivals by inserting intessimators, devices that cause agonizing pain or death for rule breakers. Minor offenses trigger sharp stomach pain. Severe infractions result in death or brainwashing. John soon sees a claustrophobic prisoner die horribly after crossing a restricted zone. Inside his packed cell, John meets his roommate Gomez and other hardened criminals. The cell is dominated by Stiggs, a cowardly thug, while Day, a demolitions expert, and Abe, the warden's personal servant, control the beds. That night, John dreams of Karen but is jolted awake when Poe uses the Z system to read minds and punish prisoners. The next morning, John is sent to forced labor deep within the prison to expand its underground network. When Gomez is attacked, John knocks out Stiggs, but is soon overwhelmed by a hulking inmate named Maddox. John holds his ground until Poe uses the intestinator to paralyze him. John and Gomez are locked in tiny laser cages, suffering until someone confesses. Seeing Gomez about to give in, John confesses first to spare his friend. Poe taunts John, revealing he was once a legendary soldier who fell from grace after a failed mission. He cruelly informs John that Karen was captured at the border and imprisoned upstairs. Poe punishes both John and Karen with additional intestinator shocks. The next day, Maddox attacks John again, throwing him downstairs and trying to shove his head into a laser barrier. John manages to injure Maddox, and the two continue a brutal fight on a retractable walkway. Poe delays retracting the bridge, hoping John falls, but instead, John saves Maddox's life in an act of defiance. Karen, watching from the women's section, realizes John is alive when the inmates chant his last name. However, Poe uses a splattergun to gruesomely execute Maddox, crushing any hope of mercy. John secretly pockets Maddox's intestinator. Abe begins to respect John for his compassion and cunning. D-Day and Gomez tell Stiggs the power dynamic has shifted. John is now in charge. Meanwhile, Poe forces Karen to live in his quarters in exchange for John's survival. John endures days of spinning torture on a gimbal, hallucinating under Zed's brutal mental assault. Upstairs, Karen's pregnant cellmate dreams of seeing her baby, but sinister doctors have other plans. When the doctors come to harvest the child, Karen fights back, but the woman is taken. Obsessed with Karen, Poe strikes a deal: John's release for her submission. Karen reluctantly agrees, and John is returned to his cell as a hollow shell. Abe cares for John over the months as his mind slowly rots. Karen discovers Poe is actually a cyborg, plugged into Zed, and reliant on artificial nutrients. Poe reveals he was the first Mentel baby, proof of their plan to replace humanity. One night, Karen spikes Poe's drink, hijacks Zed, and finds John's mind trapped in a mental pit. She encourages him to break free of his catatonia, unnoticed by Poe. John's cellmates are shocked when he finally speaks after 4 long months. He quickly realizes Karen's proximity to Poe could aid their escape. Karen steals a piece of Zed's holographic projector, showing prison schematics. D-Day uses the fragment and his glasses to reveal blueprints of an escape route. John devises a risky plan involving the ventilation shafts. However, The stolen lens is accidentally dropped and smudged, risking discovery. Poe suspects Karen, but Abe sacrifices himself, taking the blame. Abe overhears Poe propose marriage to Karen, promising to free John in return. Meanwhile, Dide repairs Maddox's intestinator, discovering how to remove them using magnets. Stiggs volunteers for a painful test, and it succeeds. The cellmates all free themselves, including Abe, who realizes he will never be paroled. John doubts himself, haunted by his failed leadership, but the others assure him they fight for their own freedom. Meanwhile, Zed exposes Poe's negligence, leading Mental to replace him. Confined to his quarters, Poe grows desperate. During the next labor shift, John and Stiggs stage a fight to trigger the detonators. When Zed detonates the devices, a hidden hole opens in the vent system. The inmates bolt for freedom. Poe releases steam to trap them, and Stiggs tries to retreat but is killed by a strike clone. John battles a cybernetic guard with a shovel, exposing its human remains beneath the metal. Seizing the clone's weapon, John and his team push forward, cutting down guards. Separated, Dide sacrifices himself to save John from a splattergun attack. Without intestinators, the splattergun can't lock onto John's team. Letting them escape upward, Karen and Abe attempt to flee too, but Poe confronts them. Abe bravely laughs off Poe's threats, but the cyborg strangles him to death. John and Karen find Abe's body and race to save Karen's unborn child. John forces Poe to halt the procedure, but Zed refuses to comply. When John tries manually stopping the surgery, Zed turns the splattergun on Poe, destroying him. John and Gomez race to the control center as Dide uploads a virus into Zed, before dying. Dide triggers the virus, blacking out the prison systems. Chaos erupts as Zed's grip over the prison dissolves. During the riot, John, Karen, and Gomez escape using a prison transport truck. However, Karen goes into labor, forcing them to stop at an abandoned barn. Tragically, the truck, still under Zed's control, kills Gomez and crashes into the barn. While Karen struggles to give birth, John fights the possessed truck. He sets it ablaze, causing a fiery explosion that destroys the vehicle and the barn. Believing he lost everything, John suddenly hears a baby's cries. He finds Karen alive, cradling their newborn child, having survived against all odds. Fortress is a gritty, dystopian sci-fi action film, directed by Stuart Gordon, best known for his horror work. Set in a future where second pregnancies are illegal, Christopher Lambert stars as John Brennick, a man imprisoned in a high-tech underground facility after trying to flee with his pregnant wife. The prison, run by the sinister Mentel Corporation, is a nightmare of surveillance, control, and cybernetic enforcers. Prisoners are implanted with intestinators, devices that can inflict instant agony. A perfect symbol of the film's dark view of technology and authority, Kurtwood Smith delivers a chilling performance as Warden Poe, a cold corporate villain with shades of RoboCop's satirical edge. The film plays like a brutal prison break story, layered with sci-fi weirdness. Mind control tech, dream suppression, all done on a tight budget that somehow makes the world feel even grimier and more real. While some effects are dated, and there's a definite B-movie vibe, Fortress thrives on its tense pacing and imaginative world-building. It's a forgotten gem for fans of dystopian action, rough, paranoid, and packed with rebellion.